a crisis as it is right now. And move on to Mali, where the United Nations Security Council unanimously voted, of course, to end a decade-long peacekeeping mission in Mali after the West African country's military junta abruptly asked the 13,000-strong force to leave. A move the United States said was engineered by Russia's Wagner mercenary group. The end of the operation, known as MINUSMA, it says here, follows years of tensions and government restrictions that have hobbled peacekeeping air and ground operations since Mali teamed up in 2021 with Russia's Wagner Group, which was behind an abortive armed mutiny in Russia last weekend. UN peacekeepers are credited with playing a vital role in protecting civilians against an Islamist insurgency that has killed thousands. And we have some experts fearing the security situation could worsen when the mission departs, leaving Mali's under-equipped army alone with about 1,000 Wagner fighters to combat militants who control swaths of territory in the desert north and center. As the Security Council voted, the White House accused Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin of helping or engineering the departure of UN peacekeepers from Mali. Right, we can comment on this as well, and we're just talking largely about Wagner involvement in Africa as well, and the accusation that are being raised here also by White House.
This is precisely the line here, what I was saying a few months ago about the countries in the Sahel. Quite correctly predicted this problem. It has now happened. I didn't want it to happen, but the historical forces, Debal, that are coalescing in our continent, given the international, financial, political, economic, and social setting that we live in, is producing, Debal, the failure of the nation state in Africa. The first candidate was the Somali Republic. Debal, a group of people who have the same faith, who have the same culture, who have the same ideas, who have practically come from one father and mother. And Debal, that state failed. We have 52 tribes in this country. And when the white man was leaving this continent, they asked him, who do you think is going to be the person who is going to work as far as these countries are concerned? And he said the Somalis. And he was asked why. Because they're the same people, the same religion, they're like the Japanese. So what conflict would they have? So Debal, our conflict is not ethnic. Our conflict, Debal, is not ethnic. It is not religious. It is not cultural, Debal. Our crisis of the state is about power and the social relations in our post-colonial society. That is what the problem is. What is the problem about that, Debal? First of all, the idea that we have to accept the Afro-pessimist, that the colonial system is the one that has produced this, is in fact right. But the Afro-optimist league that I belong to says no, that we could have produced a nation, as in Tanzania. We would have produced the relations of power that would allow people to participate and be elected democratically. The president of Tanzania is from a small village in Zanzibar. She's a Muslim, wears hijab, and she's a woman to boot. That would never happen in Kenya. It would be impossible. We're remembering Tom Mboya. The reason why Kenya is failing is because we killed Tom Mboya. That's Lee Kuan Yew who said that. I didn't say that. When he was asked why did we start on the same footing and Kenya is years behind that, he said it's because you killed Tom Mboya and the Singaporeans did not kill me. They let me rule the country, and that's why we're successful. He's right. So, Debal, I argued that the Sahel, this is not going to be the first one. Debal, there's going to be Niger. There's going to be all the other Sahel countries. There's going to be fundamental crisis, because for 60 years, a cabal of elites have manipulated power They have frozen their nations in poverty. They have squandered international aid. They have been dependent of the French Republic. They have done everything possible to make their countries fail. It is not the Europeans' responsibility or the Americans' responsibility. It's our responsibility, Debale. It's the African responsibility for this failure. When you fail in Chad, it is Ahmed Hashi who has failed. And then why have I failed? Because those people go to Paris and they go to New York and I go with them. They're not going to tell me wewe ni Waria, na huyu ni Mukamba, na huyu ni Mulwe. No! They think we're just a bunch of monkeys. That's what's happening in France, Debal. You can see our children being shot in Paris by the French police. They're being shot, Debal, because of the lack of militancy in our political thought in this continent. To bring people together, to be democratic, to make sure our economies are integrated, to bring together, to break down the boundaries that we have. These people in the Sudan, the people in Chad, Debal, are the same people. They are the same people, Debal. There's no difference between them. What has happened is that they just don't have had leadership. And as long as we don't have leadership, Debal, we are going to fail. And the Europeans and the Americans are going to come with big planes and drop food and say that we're coming to rescue you. And this is going to continue to buffer the racist stereotypes that the world has about our continent.
Mm-hmm. So, Noam Idama, you think that, first of all, with the pulling out of MINUSMA, the United Nations decision, this will give free rein to mercenary? Was their presence also in any way tempering the Wagner mercenary within the Sahel region?
Yeah. There is a much bigger issue here. Yesterday, I was interviewed by a German, major German television network, and we were talking about the future conference, Africa Russia conference, and what is it all about, and how is it going to work, and how many African people will attend. And what I said, and I've said it consistently, Debal, if you remember, Putin and Joe Biden and Xi Jinping does not go to bed and wake up in the morning thinking about African child who has not eaten, who went to bed hungry. They're only doing what their countries, their best interest, that if Africans are starving and we are all doing well, it doesn't look good, so we better throw in some food, and see how they're doing. And what is happening is I've given you the statistic of how many people are selling arms to Africa. They're not African. It's not Egypt selling arms to Kenya or South Africa selling arms. It is Russia selling 35% of all the arms coming. You know what those arms are? These are vintage Soviet weapon system that cannot even function in the current way. They go like firecracker, but they will be sold to Africa in a huge number. And if you remember the war between Somalia, the Ogaden War, the carcasses of old vintage Soviet weapon that are sitting in there, they're decaying. But thousands of people are dead. We're expecting a huge number of people to die in Sahel region. One, France did not help set up a system of government and governance for the best interest of Africa. So Wagner Group came with the Russian interest, pushed French people out. And then you left a place that is ungoverned. And who is going to benefit? It's the Wagner Group, because they're ruthless, they're organized, they know exactly what they want, they're extracting gold out of the country. And when you look at the situation in DRC, Debal, DRC has estimated $25 trillion worth of mineral. And therefore, it cannot be peaceful unless the Africans resolve together and said, we are going to make it peaceful. We are going to work with the government of leadership and create a formidable team that will protect the interest, because it's important for us. We Africans are standing by. We Africans are divided. And then all the international interests are coming in to continue extracting Africa. So there is not going to be peace in Sahel. We are going to see potentially a number of failed governments, that including Sudan, and spreading all the way to Burkina Faso and all those states. Unless the African AU wake up right now and begin organizing us as a team of Africa and said, we are going to do everything to protect the best interests and speak on behalf of this country. That's what is happening, Duba.
All right, and that is what is happening in that particular region right now. I just wanted to show you what is on the front page of